This is BNG TV.
We're gonna get some picks right now. Let's start with your Sparties against Illinois. They had the little off-season nonsense with CL Rucker. We've talked about that at length. Gave them the knucklehead of the week. I think it actually helps them focus, gets them off that euphoric high they should be in for going down to the bigger house and beating up on Michigan. What do you think?
You know, I like Michigan State in this game, and here's why. I think this team, CL Rucker aside, I mean, that's, quite frankly, it's unfortunate, and it is. He is a knucklehead. But I think this team actually is the first team D'Antonio's had that is that permeates what Mark D'Antonio is. One thing I loved about that game, you didn't hear those kids. It wasn't like the kids they won the Super Bowl, they won the national championship. I mean, they realized it was a big win, and it was a big win in a good fashion in a hostile place. But they're about the business. I mean, they know that Illinois beat Penn State. I mean, if you look at it all week, and even Coach D'Antonio, this team. And why I think Mark D'Antonio can be such a great coach. I think he's a good coach, but I think he can be great so long as they maintain his consistency, which is he doesn't ride the highs and he doesn't ride the lows. He's very, very steady. And this team seems to have that. They showed it in the Wisconsin game. They showed it in the Michigan game. Now they need to show it in the Illinois game. The great thing for Michigan State, in my mind, and for Michigan State fans, is the pressure goes up when you win. That's something that to me is a great feeling. I mean, there's a lot on the line this weekend against a solid football team. I think Michigan State wins this football game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think that focus, quite frankly, was a big issue. I think you make a good point with the CL Rucker thing that guys now got to rally around some other guys that have to step up and play. However, I think Mark D'Antonio's got these guys dialed in that you enjoy your victory. You get after it, and you got to get to the next opponent. And I think that is really starting to permeate from top to bottom in his program. That's why I think he talks in terms of program. So I don't look for a lull. I'm excited actually to have Michigan State show that consistency, and I hope that I am right in that because I feel like I see it. I feel like it's there, and so I see him winning a game 27-17.
I look at Michigan State. The one advantage I think they have in this is veteran quarterback play. You look at Scheelhaus, he's a good one. I've talked about all week. He's chippy. He's got an edge to him, but he is a freshman. Did go on the road and was impressive against Penn State. Can he do it 2 weeks in a row? I think Kirk Cousins has proven that he's taken that next step. He needed that big game. That was the Michigan game. I think he continues to progress and is unbelievable for Michigan State. They've got a good kicker in Santelli. It'll be a field position game. They've got good special teams, something that was an advantage for Michigan State last week over Michigan, and I love LaShore. You know, you made the comparison earlier this week to Mendenhall. He really is.
He's Mendenhall version 2.0.
Yeah, and big physical back, but he's got some speed. That scares me. He's going to put some pressure on the Michigan State defense, more so than the Michigan running game did. Denard Robinson or no Denard Robinson. In the end, Michigan State pulls out a close one on homecoming, 31-27.
Joseph.
I think it's going to be close as well, but I think Michigan State's defense is just a little bit better than Illinois'. It's going to be 28-24 Sparties.
Michigan State did everything they needed to do against Michigan last week. Kept them out in the red zone, executed on passing game, got their running game going, had all three backs firing. Michigan State does what they're supposed to. They win by 10. Period. And I think they roll all the way to that Iowa game before they lose.
Watch out for Northwestern.
Oh, God, shut up with Northwestern.
Hey, brother, I'm going to be going down to that game with my boys. I got news for you.
Beware the fighting brains of Northwestern, please. Come on. If you're just tuning in, this is Ty's Take. We are joined in studio by former Spartan, Jaguar, Bear, and Detroit Lion Ty Halleck. Moving on to the other game here in the state of Michigan. Michigan versus the Iowa Hawkeyes. They bring that top 5 defense to the big house for Denard and company. Ty, what do you think?
You know, I just it's hard to pick Michigan, but I'm going to because I think that Michigan State, when we talked last week, was and is a good football team in offense, defense, and special teams. I don't think Iowa's as good as Michigan State. It's my personal opinion, and I think that a week after an exceptional player like Denard Robinson had, I think a lot of things happen in the locker room. I think a lot of things happen in the week of preparation. And I think the defense, at some point in some time, comes to a breaking point of where they really are versus what they could or could not be. And I think Michigan pulls out a squeaker in this one. I think it surprises a lot of people, and I think Denard Robinson has a huge game. There's just something about this game that there's a lot of things that are telling me that Iowa's going to win it for a lot of the reasons why Michigan State could come in and win it. But I just think it's a different football game. Michigan historically is had Iowa's number and always figured out a way to win. I think it's going to happen this weekend. I think it happens on the shoulders of Denard Robinson. He gets back on track. Look, it was an email or Facebook earlier today. There was no question. It isn't Michigan fan anointing Denard Robinson. It's the country. And I think he needs to get back on track. One game, I agree with Bakita, doesn't declare it. I look for Michigan to get back on track this week with a win, a surprise win in my mind against Iowa, and I think a lot of it has to do with Denard Robinson and defense making a play or two.
The numbers you're referring to that tell you pick Iowa, number one in the nation in scoring defense, 10 points per game. Second in rushing defense, fourth in total defense. That said, Michigan 8-2 in its last 10 home games against the Hawkeyes. I don't know if Iowa has faced an athlete like Denard Robinson and total speed.
They haven't. Because
receivers.
There isn't another one on their schedule.
Well, but with the wide receivers and the running back, something that didn't play out in the Michigan State game, Michigan bounces back. They get a victory over Iowa, 28-24.
Joseph.
Well, a couple reasons. One, on their defense, Iowa has also not given up a rushing touchdown all season long. I think that'll change. But under the Rich Rod era, they have not proved to me that they can come back and get a big win after a loss, or a win nonetheless. And until that does change, I have to take Iowa in this game, but I hope I'm wrong.
Last week, I picked with my heart on Michigan. Michigan State was the better team. I believe that with my brain because that's just the truth. That is what it is. Iowa's too tough, and they're tough in all the ways where Michigan's good on offense. They're tough against the run. They're good up. They're the best that they'll face all year up front. I think they're as good as Michigan State in the back seven, and they're a lot better in the front four than pretty much anybody in the country. They are as good as it gets. They're going to give that offensive line fits. The other running backs for Michigan haven't been able to get going against anybody of any quality. Michigan State picked the lock on that, put the linebacker in a lane, make sure he's got his brain in gear, and stay there. Wait for them to come to you. That's that counter move and that ISO trap that they run in Michigan all the time. You just have to wait for it because it all works on a delay. It's like one draw play after another. If the linebackers stay true and it's a Kirk Ferentz defense, the linebackers are going to play assignment specific. That's how that's going to go. Iowa's going to win by 10 or more.
Keep in mind.
Wow, yeah.
Keep in mind, Michigan scored 28 points with Tate Forcier at the helm with a better Hawkeye defense on the road a year ago. That's all I'll say.
All right, moving on to those Lions. They head east after a big win against St. Louis. Stomp on them 44-7. Don't give up a touchdown. Defense does their job, and Ndamukong Suh's on all the highlight reels. Now they head to New York, and what happens?
I want the Lions to win. The New York Football Giants are playing some good football right now, and if you watched a couple Sundays ago when they played Chicago, oof. I just want Sean Hill to come out not hurt.
They do have the bye week afterwards.
I hear you. And for that reason, I think like every other football game, the Detroit Lions, I think, will be competitive, and I think they'll be in this football game. But it's hard to bet against the New York Giants right now, who started off slow but have gotten on a roll, and they're playing very aggressive. Their defense is playing lights-out football right now. And so it's hard for me to see the Lions go in there and win. But I see him certainly being in the football game, and it could be a 28-17, 28-21 type game. But I think the New York Football Giants are going to get it done.
It's Eli Manning. It's not Sam Bradford that you're going up against. Granted, they don't have a Steven Jackson type of running back on the other side, but I think with him, with Nix, and what they've done, which I'm loving because he's on my fantasy football team, they just win by, I think the number's right on. Vegas hit this one on the nose. 27-17, Giants get it done.
Joseph.
This game's already over. They're going to get killed. 31.
You and your just hit you?
Head into the Twisted Rooster parking lot.
31-10. Hey, I scored a number in that parking lot, so.
I don't know if.
And you saw her, Ty. Was that blind?
I was going to say, what's his name? You asked for that. Come on, you can't. Low-hanging fruit. With the Lions-Giants, the line's wrong. Lions will make this one more interesting. This will be another one of those games where fans are going to be at the edge of their seat. They can do it. They can totally do this, and then something will happen. Somebody on that defense will make a play. And with Calvin Johnson, maybe not. Nobody really knows what his situation is. If he's not at full go, I think he'll be on the field because he has to be on the field because you got to keep that defense honest. But if he's not full go, forget about it. Giants roll.
We're done here. Akita and Gray, morning 6 to 9.